What is it that calls you here, that calls you onward, that calls you inward, that leads you homeward? What is it that gives you the power to make that change, to ask that question, to take that journey? What is it that says you have done well, that asks you to learn more, that brings you to stillness, that holds you up in hard times? It is relationship, the beating heart of our faith. It begins when we share this hour, our truths, this air, our hearts. Come, let us worship together. Dolores, would you please light our chalice today?
Okay.
And those of you at home are invited to light your own chalice now as well. As we light this flame of hope, may our congregation become a kaleidoscope of souls and people. In the presence of this flame, in me, in you, in us, is an invitation to sit at the table, maybe tend our soul fire through these challenging and trying times, to open the hearts and minds of all who enter our doors. Before we sing the first hymn, let me remind our remote participants to leave yourselves muted. However, if we want you and whoever is with you to sing with us as big and loud as you'd like and make it a joyous experience, please stand in body and spirit and sing the opening hymn, If You Want to Sing Out by Cat Stevens.
Well, if you want to sing out, sing out. And if you want to be free, be free. 'Cause there's a million things to be, you know that there are. And if you want to live high, live high. And if you want to live low, live low. 'Cause there's a million ways to go, you know that there are. You can do what you want, the opportunity's on. And if you find a new way, you can do it today. You can make it all true, and you can make it undo. You see, it's easy, you only need to know. Well, if you want to say yes, say yes. And if you want to say no, say no. 'Cause there's a million ways to go, you know that there are. And if you want to be me, be me. And if you want to be you, be you. 'Cause there's a million things to do, you know that there are. You can do what you want, the opportunity's on. And if you find a new way, you can do it today. You can make it all true, and you can make it undo. You see, it's easy, you only need to know. Well, if you want to sing out, sing out. And if you want to be free, be free. 'Cause there's a million things to be, you know that there are. 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 You know that there are.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist community of Cambria. We're glad you've joined us today. Our UUCC sanctuary sits on land that the Salinan and Chumash indigenous peoples historically, not hysterically. They might have been hysterical at the time, but historically inhabited. We honor their contribution to this region and give thanks for the opportunity to gather in faith on their unceded territory. Let us respect their legacy and protect their history as we occupy this sacred space. As Unitarian Universalists, we celebrate religious diversity and welcome all who journey in search of faith and spirituality. The UUCC is lay-led and run by a democratic process. We invite speakers from different religious traditions and spiritual or scientific backgrounds, as well as community leaders, to speak at our pulpit. We encourage presentations covering a variety of topics and areas of interest that connect with the UU7 principles and 6 values: justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. Today's service centers around the value of pluralism. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. My name is Diane DeMarco, and I'm your worship associate for this morning's service.
Hi, Diane.
Hi, Dolores. I would like to extend a special welcome to guests and visitors. We're glad you've joined us this morning. And if you wish, please raise your hand. And if you would like to introduce yourself or your guest, please let us know now.
Renee's here.
Renee's here. Hi, Renee.
Mom thinks I'm a guest, but really.
An old-timer guest. Yes. Anybody else? Okay. If you're not on the mailing list, please visit the UUCC website at uuccambria.org so we can keep you informed about all of our activities. And members and friends, please check out What's Happening, the e-blast sent to you every week that Lori puts out. And Lori's here today. Hey, Lori. This is a great way to keep up to date with our latest news. And if you wish to see this or any of the past Zoom services, the recordings can be found on the UUCC website and on Facebook. So again, good morning and welcome to everyone. The affirmation is both a recognition of the nature of this community as well as a promise to which we aspire. Let us now recite the UUCC affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to help one another. We set aside this time for brief announcements that will be of interest to our community and friends. Please be succinct when announcing upcoming events or updates. If you have an announcement, please raise your hand, and when Randy or I call upon you, come up to the podium or unmute yourself and then speak. Yes, Robert.
Good morning. I brought envelopes today for the Guest at Your Table program, our fundraising program that the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee is currently running. So it's the end of the year, and for those of you who deduct in your contributions, now's the time before we hit December the 31st. So if you have any questions or you need an envelope, please let me know.
I'll take an envelope.
Thank you, Diane. See, that was easy.
Other announcements? I have one. We have a women's group coming up the first Monday of every month. And if you're interested in joining, please see me or Dolores or Rebecca. We'd love to have you come join us. They're on Mondays at 2 o'clock here in the sanctuary. Okay, Randy?
No hands here. Back to you, Diane.
Okay. Next week, Triva Boys will kick off the year with Seniors to Seniors, unveiling truths and aspirations with a teacher's reflection. And that would be high school students to us, being seniors. Joys and Concerns is a time for sharing personal celebrations, sorrows, reflections, or gratitude. This is a time for community building, so please exercise brevity. The collective flames of these candles embody all the joys and concerns which may have gone unspoken today, but are deeply felt in this community. Our first reading is an excerpt from The Many Aspects of Yourself by Peter Gardenfors, PhD, in an article he wrote for Psychology Today, August 28, 2024. The conception we have of ourselves includes many facets to varying degrees. The self can refer to one's body, brain, appearance, character, will, story, or social relations. Memories bind the self together as a single entity. When discussing the nature of the self, who am I, may seem to be the central question, a more important question may be, what am I? Some of the facets often encountered in philosophical and psychological discussions of the self include, I am my body, I am my brain, I am my appearance, I am my experience and my memories, I am my character and my abilities, I am my will, I am my story, I am determined by my relationships with other individuals and my place in society. The self is an illusion, like the image of a kaleidoscope. The conception we have of ourselves includes all the above facets to varying degrees. Which of the facets of the self is more important varies over time and across cultures. Let us now enter a place of peace and serenity where you are one with your spiritual being. Being at peace with your space, where the absence of all that is temporal is its most cherished gift. Let us enter the stillness. Light, shine in, illuminate our inward view. Help us to see with clarity, shine bright and true so we may join our songs in new sounds that become full symphony. Walter Whitman, Jr., May 31st, 1819 through March 26, 1892, was an American poet, essayist, and journalist. He also wrote 2 novels. He is considered one of the most influential poets in American literature. Walt Whitman famously expressed his belief in individualism through lines like, "I celebrate myself and sing myself, and what I assure you shall assume, for every atom belonging to me as good belongs to you." He also said, "I am large, I contain multitudes." And he said, "To me, the soul is vast, unbounded space, where the individual can express their true self." And the last quote from him today, "Each one of us is a unique expression of the universe." Please stand in body and or spirit and sing "This Little Light of Mine," number 118 in your hymnals.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Today's talk is titled, "What It's Like to Be Me," to be delivered by 4 of our members here today: Anita Hubscher, Dolores Miera, Margaret Randall, and Maria Rao. And Judy was going to join us, but unfortunately she's not here with us right now. So Anita has been a member of the UUCC for 6 years. She came to the church little by little, which is one way to do it. Attracted by the speakers who presented, and then her heart and mind became more fulfilled as she got to know the people in the congregation. One day in 2018, she knew it was time to become a member and has been actively involved since then. Anita.
Good morning, all. When Diane asked me to speak 5 minutes about what is it to be like me, I had no clue how to answer that question. So finally, I came up about there are so many layers to me, like all the stars in the universe. So I chose the topic, why did I come to the US? When I was living in Switzerland, I always had this yearning to live in the United States, but didn't know how. So one day, my coworker found an ad in the newspaper, still in the newspaper. It said, green card lottery. Wow, I couldn't believe my ears. What a coincidence. I applied and got selected. The whole process to get the green card took like 2 years. And when I got the real card, I wasn't sure if I wanted to leave my home country. I knew I had lived in the United States before because I have read Shirley MacLaine's book, Out on a Limb, and got inspired by her past life regression. So I took the courage in both of my hands and connected to the center that she quoted in her book. And I got an appointment. I flew in '89 to New Mexico, to Santa Fe, to Santa Fe. And got to the center, and for 2 weeks, I had in the most beautiful surrounding. I had past lives, and everything was written manually. There was no mechanical devices. And in the evening, I had to copy my past life from the practitioner's writing. And then I had to take a bath with apple cider vinegar to clean myself from the past life. And so after that experience, I knew I had to be living in the US. In the meantime, my disability got worse. You have to know that my whole life I lived with a disability. It formed me, and also I had many amazing experiences. Thanks to my disability. It's hard to believe, but it is. After all, I migrated to the US in 1999. Nobody had pushed me or asked me to make this big leap. Empty Pasaki, time passed in my new home country. I read tons of self-help books, which gave me a kind of foundation to live here, to connect with people and a new culture, or many new cultures. And so in the meantime, my disability asked for a wheelchair in 2018, and now I'm confined to this rolling vehicle, which helps me to have my own household and do everything on my own, except some chores that my dear friends from church and from my neighbor, they help me out. And I don't know what I still have to learn in order to evolve. But one thing I know with certainty, I was always guided by this invisible voice this invisible thread of love. Also, what I have to add is the following. I was able to leave my home country because I knew I will be always connected to my friends, family, loved ones. They were with me all the time. And so I never feel alone. Thanks so much, Diane, for giving me the opportunity to talk about my life. And thanks, Randy, for the AV.
Thank you, Anita. That was just lovely. Dolores has been a Unitarian Universalist for over years now, 44, and is one of the founders of this church. We had our first meeting upstairs in her home on Avon 17 years ago. Dolores was drawn to like-minded ethical people and a need for a connecting community, and she has helped to create that in a big way. Dolores.
Makes you short the longer you become Unitarian. I used to be 7'3". No. So my name is Dolores Miera, and I'd like to share with you who I am today. And well, frankly, it's marvelous to be me. I love music. I love dancing. In my house around music helps me dance, and it feeds my soul. One of my favorite songs right now is by Unitarian Universalist Peter Mayer, titled Happiness, as he quotes Thich Nhat Hanh, that says, "There is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way." I choose solitude over socializing a lot more these days, as I enjoy more inward time with myself. I'm sure you're going to hear a lot of that with yourself these days. My current practice in living every day, my practices are quality over quantity in everything and everyone, even when I go to the $1.25 store. I practice smaller, deeper connections with people, and age is not a factor. It's less about the big milestones and more about today and talking to the lizards in my backyard. My day is not about doing or having, but about what truly matters to me, which is happiness in its many forms. I create space for peace and joy, gardening, cooking, playing with my cat, Stripe. Recently, Stripe taught me that couch cushions stuffed with bird feathers are a hunting trip for him. No matter what I spray or do, feathers are not considered a neutral friend for him, so spraying on them is his job. I'm not trying to impress, I'm just living authentically. I feel free that way. I move from one thing to another without the wishes or the opinions of someone else criticizing what I'm up to. Daily, at age 74, it's a series of beginnings, endings, and blessings. I'm embracing this chapter without clinging to it. I have gratitude for the fact that I'm still alive and enjoying life more now than ever. For the past many years, an awareness in my life has been that being alone is not lonely. Truthfully, I have found that not being in a close relationship, I have been a lot happier and much more creative. It's probably the best aspect of being me. I'm very fortunate to have a chosen family, those I've picked to love and those who love me. It's all about love. The relationships I enjoy and thrive in always have a mutuality to them. I practice kindness on a daily basis with myself, my friends, my neighbors, UU members, relatives, and people I meet for the first time. I enjoy nature, it soothes me. My backyard, the beach, the sky, walks. Nature teaches me a lot. Even the annual Santa Rosa Creek flood has much to teach me. How I think and what I think shapes my actions. That's why it's good to always be learning about life, for me anyway. I'm never done learning. I was born to be of help to others. That's why I was one of the many people who helped create and build our UU community in Cambria here 17 years ago. It's my spiritual home. I hope you find UUCC a source of peace for you too. It's a community and a place of giving, not taking. I'm thankful that you're all here and you want to share. Together, we are family. While I need solitude, I also enjoy community at different times. A community that gives to each other and the world. I've learned how to lead and I've learned how to listen. UUCC has been a big help with both of those skills. Did you know that babies laugh on average 120 times per day? It's true. Adults laugh on average 6 times per day. So I'm always working on bringing my average up to at least 60 times a day. So help me out if you can, okay? Currently, the 3 areas I'm focusing on in my life, as conveyed by the UU Reverend Forest Church, are want what I have, which means to me to want to reuse, and reuse some more. Be who I am, which means follow my own path and do what I can. How can I help? I could go any day now, and so could you. And I'll be leaving happy. I hope you will too. In this holiday season, enjoy the lights. Remember, there's no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Dolores. Margaret is one of our original members. She helped to form this church in 2008. She was first drawn to the church when she was 22 years old. She had been attending a different church and complained to a friend of hers about that church, and he recommended Unitarian Universalism. And she's been a member of the UU Church ever since. That's a total of 70 years, because Margaret's 92. Margaret.
Who am I? My first recollection of my life was at age 2. I had a diaper full. My mother had 2 guests seated on the sofa. I could see them only from the knees down. I wanted my diaper changed. My mother wanted me to meet her guests. And this is where my memory ends. I could only imagine how this situation finally resolved. 2 years later, my friend Anna Marie from across the street came over and asked, "What should we do today?" My mother was working in the garden, so I figured we should play in the house. So we headed up the back steps to the kitchen and then across the kitchen to the basement stairs, and down we went. Across from the stairs was a wall of shelves where newly canned jars of jams and jellies were lined up in neat, colorful rows. I found 2 small baskets that were used for picking berries and a large wooden spoon. We set up shop on the second step. Then I picked up a jar from the shelf. I punched in the paraffin, dumped the jam into the bucket, and left the jar on the floor. 12 or 15 jars later, the floor was littered with paraffin and empty jars. 2 buckets were each half full of mixed jam. Then from the top of the stairs came my mother's voice. "Margaret Ann, are you down there?" We ran and hid under the stairs, but she found us. Anna Marie was sent home. I was marched upstairs and cleaned off. My mother went back down and cleaned up the mess and carried the buckets, rounds of paraffin, plus the empty jars up to the kitchen. The paraffin was washed and re-melted. The jam was then dumped into a pot and recooked. Then it was ladled back into the jars with hot paraffin on top and returned to the shelves. That year, we enjoyed mixed strawberry, blueberry, raspberry, pincherry jam and ate it on our breakfast toast. Fast forward about 50 years. I was at work at a job I liked. 9:30 was break time, so I headed to the coffee pot where the rule was whoever takes the last cup makes the next pot. Bruce and Ron were standing by with full cups and guilty grins on their faces. 1/2 cup was left. I poured it into my cup and offered to make the next pot. Back at my desk, I sipped my coffee, and soon the strangest feeling came over me. I couldn't figure out what was going on. I turned to look at Eric, my coworker. His head was a dark orange color and was much smaller than usual. I tried to lean my head on my desk, but I couldn't sit up. I lowered myself onto the floor, face down. Then Ron staggered in and moaned. He was walked to the car, and 2 guys took me by the armpits, dragged me to the car, and stuffed me into the back seat. 5 minutes later, we were at the hospital. The time was 10 a.m. I was loaded into a waiting wheelchair, and that was the last I remembered until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I awoke and found myself in a hospital bed with tubes and wires running into my body. I grabbed at the tubes and wires. The nurse called, "She's awake." And she undid all the appending paraphernalia and called the doctor. He arrived, introduced himself, and asked, "Remember me?" "No, I've never met you before," I said. He then explained all that had gone on while I was out. The nurse offered a wheelchair so I could visit Ron and Bruce, but outside their doors were armed police officers to keep them in. At this point, I didn't know what had happened. The next day, I was sent home, but couldn't go back to work. I had a new challenge. I had no short-term memory, and I had a couple of interesting hallucinations. There was an orange cast over everything. The right-hand side of everything on the wall seemed to drop down, but when I blinked, it came right back up. I then found that a life-threatening dose of scopolamine was put in the coffee. Since scopolamine also is a truth serum, we learned it was supplied by Bruce's girlfriend from the vet where she worked. At a new job several years later, my new boss asked me if I wanted to get my memory back or keep complaining. "I would like my memory back," I said. He recommended ginkgo biloba, which was available at any pharmacy. 2 weeks after taking ginkgo twice a day, I could find my memory returning. I could look up a phone number and remember it long enough to dial. Then after 2 years, my memory was almost back to normal. Now, after diaper problems, jam making, and scopolamine, I am back to normal and living happily ever after.
Thank you, Margaret. Our last speaker this morning is Maria. She is the new kid on the block, having joined us at the UU Church only recently, about a year ago. She was drawn to the UU values, plus she loves the subjects of the talks, as well as the songs that we sing. Maria.
I wish I had gone first. Well, what's it like to be me? Well, I got this little task a day ago, or maybe two, and I slept on it and wrote it yesterday. So anyway, I'm a collection of a lot of inner parts. And Jean Houston would have said that on the average, a person has 50. So I'm not going through 50. But I do have some parts that I'd like to talk about. Some of them are self-enhancing, I like to talk about, and others that are a little less so. So anyway, I have an inner optimist. For the most part, I look for the silver lining in just about everything because I need balance. I'm a Libra and I need balance. I have a creative one that I've been using ever since I was a kid, drawing, painting, you name it. I went to school in art and didn't get a job, but I just, had to find a job after that, which was hard with an art background. But I've used it in creative ways throughout my careers. And I actually did have a ceramic art side business to work with my hands, which I think really helped me to heal myself a lot because it's very grounding. I have an inventive chef. I will often go into the pantry and fridge and just whip something up and experiment on my husband. Most of the time it's a thumbs up or a very, very wise neutrality. I'm a lifelong learner, a curious one. I read about a lot of diverse subjects, interested in metaphysics, science, mystery stuff that's unknown. I really love to learn and explore a whole bunch of stuff. I'm an inner seeker, and that one is an accomplice to my inner curious one. And I've been drawn to astrology, numerology, energy work, and a lot of other things that are woo-woo. You know about that. I have always loved watching sci-fi TV. I like the movies too, but I started out with Flash Gordon, and I've just been so attracted to the cosmos and, what's out there. And, Star Trek, Enterprise, all of that still captivates me, and I don't fall asleep during those things. I have inner music lovers that are triplets. One loves to sing, and I have never been in a choir or chorale until this past couple of years in the community chorale, and that's been a lifelong dream. I love folk rock and classical music, both of those genre. I listen to every day, one at breakfast and one at dinner time. You can guess which one. And I also love to dance, or I used to love to dance, even though I don't have the bod of a dancer, and I'm pretty clumsy, but there's something in me just loves to move to music. And now that I've had the total knee replacements, it's really hard, but I do get to boogie in my chair. So I have an inner teacher, coach, and psychotherapist trio that are gifts I discovered and developed when I went for my license. And I now walk the path of a wounded healer to be of service to others. And I have a compassionate one, an inner listener who are present for others and for my own self-inquiry. I have other parts that I strive to manage when they rear their challenging little heads. Mostly, I honor their original protective instincts and try to help them calm down. I have a pretty strong inner critic judge, and it used to be a lot louder. Now it's quieted down. I have an inner avoider. I avoid conflict and other people's anger, and I keep on working on that. I have an inner anxious one, probably in my family's DNA, and EFT, the tapping, helps. But yeah, I had a lot of very, very anxious relatives. One aunt had 7 locks on her doors, and my dad would say, "What if there's a fire and Fran can't get out? We can't get in." So she was extreme, but it's in my DNA, I'm pretty sure. And I have an inner Luddite. That's related to technology. I really do resist technology. I don't have a GPS. I wouldn't know how to use it. And please don't get me started on all those updates and forced upgrades, updates and passwords, because my head spins on technology. My regular practices include showing kindness, respect, and compassion in my relationships. And I incorporate wellness practices to care for my body, mind, and spirit. Gentle exercise, healthy diet, nurturing important connections with friends and my sister and brother. And I have an openness to new experiences and opportunities to serve. And I've been on the scholarship committee because I just said yes to that. And, and also said yes to a lot of things here. So, yeah. I accept and honor similarities to and differences with my husband. He's an Aries, I'm a Libra. We are very polar. And I do enjoy our shared laughter and enjoying simple pleasures together. And he helps me to grow my patience and intentions for a win-win when we disagree. I allow space that we each need to support our individual identities and needs. And lastly, I recite litanies of forgiveness and gratitude and prayers for peace and the highest good for all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for participating in sharing your lives with us. One more time, Anita, Dolores, Margaret, and Maria. Let's give them a
Thank you, Jill.
The offering this morning will now be given and received. Please remember, we are a self-sustaining congregation and provide all financial resources for our many ministries. We recognize the spiritual value of generosity and invite you to participate. If you are viewing this service remotely, please use one of the methods shown on your screen. Thank you.
I'm like one of those Japanese bowls that were made long ago. I have some cracks in me. They have been filled with gold. That's what they used back then when they had a bowl to mend. It did not hide the cracks. It made them shine instead. So now every old scar shows from every time I broke, and anyone's eyes can see I'm not what I used to be, but in a collection master's mind. All of these jagged lines make me more beautiful and worth a much higher price. I'm like one of those Japanese balls I was made long ago. I have some cracks you can see how they shine of gold.
That was so beautiful. Thank you.
Our thanks for all gifts given and received and for the work of this community. Please stand now in body or spirit and sing the closing hymn, One More Circle by Peter Mayer.
We have been weighed down by sadness like a stone. We have yearned, we have yearned. We have sometimes felt so utterly alone. While we turn, we've been stricken by the wonder of it all. Stricken dumb, stricken dumb. We have sometimes felt so faint we wanna fall, overcome, but all in all, I'd say this year in flight together has been fun. I'd say we make one more circle around the sun. I'd say this year in flight together has been fun. What say we make one more circle around the sun? We have raised our fists in anger and we have tried, work it out, that we need each other, we cannot deny. There's no doubt, so let us weave another dream in outer space while we're turning on this planet only that holds our human race. We're still learning. I'd say this year in flight together has been fun. What say we make one more circle around the sun? I'd say this year in flight together has been fun. What say we make one more circle around the sun?
As we prepare to extinguish the chalice, let us recite the valediction. It is our work shared with each other in covenant that creates and sustains this beloved community. We extinguish this chalice as the light of this faith lives on in us together, in our minds, bodies, and spirit. Please extinguish your chalice at home now. Now let's form a circle and join hands. The freedom to be yourself is a gift. only you can give to yourself. Now go in peace.